Ooh, the Zoom.
Would those people be notified?
You know what, actually, our last notification was on the 15th, and we said at this point, it's up to you, we won't notify you until the 29th.
Wow.
Because we have notified everybody every couple
Unless you
days.
email me.
Come on back, Isaac. And my
So
poor
glad I
friend
didn't
here
get that
literally is
email.
losing her mind. So if you're not done, get it done, check it, make sure you are. Make a phone call to us if you aren't sure, then we'll look you up if we hear from you.
First time in 20 years that I've been done before the 29th.
Nice. Perfect.
Take a selfie and put it on the book of service, you get reminded.
Right, well, and remember, next time, we're actually gonna do a class in the end of October to get you your full 15 hours in 2 days. So make sure you watch for that, because then there'll be no excuses for anybody to not have it done. Donna.
Just to make those that have not completed their CE feel even worse, I started on the 13th and I was still done by the 15th.
Attaboy, John. Yeah.
There you go. And then remember also, dues are due on the 30th as well. So make sure you do that, because we sure hate to terminate licenses. We do.
Especially around CE time.
So.
And I'll send out reminder emails to everyone on SPAR dues because they're coming up, or MLS dues, I mean.
It's coming.
It's coming. All right, Marky Mark.
Mark.
It's like, I did kind of get you like right at the last second.
Was he sleeping?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to put out a couple of small little fires.
Oh, no.
End of the month stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff is fine. Hello, everyone. Interest rates, right? So, some of this is just gonna come out the top just because, I kind of watch it every day and, please fire away. I mean, Fed raised 3/4 last week, right? So, probably everyone's heard that by now, right? So the big move was, everybody, Jay Powell said a half, right? It was a half, it was a half, it was a half, and almost kind of came to a point where he promised us that, right? And then unfortunately, inflation numbers came out, and it's like, oops, sorry, we have to go to 3/4, right? So, that's kind of what caused the market to go crazy, which moved us into the sixes, low sixes, from the fives. The market doesn't like uncertainty that, with inflation basically being real, right? They've been talking transitory earlier in the year. Obviously, it's been way proven that inflation is not transitory anymore. Andy, you jump in, because I know this is your wheelhouse too, because it's right, transitory, it's not transferring anymore, it's real. And so, most people believe the Fed's a little behind the 8 ball, right? It's that push and pull between, raising rates to get to that soft landing. We don't go into a recession, right? Recession is, some people say, well, let's go into a recession, right? But recession means job loss, right? And that's not good either, right? So we don't want friends, family, neighbors, clients losing jobs. And so it's that push and pull. You hear that terminology, soft landing. We need a soft landing, which means, let's curb inflation at the same time, not moving it into a deep dark recession, right? So tough job, right? Tough job. How much is raised, so let's put us into the recession. So unfortunately, we've moved into the sixes. Everyone's $1 million question right now is, where do we go from here? That's a great question, right? Jay Powell didn't know last week that he was going to raise 3/4, right? So some little lowly mortgage guy sitting up here can't tell you where rates are gonna be. I can tell you what they're going to be today. I can look at my phone right now and tell you what's going on with the market. But, a week from now, a month from now, it gets a little bit more difficult, right? Watch inflation numbers, talk to people, friends, family. I mean, inflation high, rates high. If inflation starts to curve a little bit, or you start to hear where maybe people are starting to not be as busy at work, and maybe they're not quite hiring as much at work. And, now we are maybe slowing down a little bit. And, that could mean, leveler, more uniform interest rates. So,
Yeah.
I must be doing a good job. Any hard
I don't
work.
know, I'm just nodding to everything you say.
So, yeah, I mean, questions, as far as, rates, low sixes, it's gonna always depend upon, where, what's your credit score, how much you're putting down. I mean, certainly a 20% down with a, 780 credit score is going to be maybe into the low sixes, might even catch something into the fives, versus the 5% down with a 600 and some credit score. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're into the sixes, right? And the $1 million question, I think, we kind of go what we did for a while now. We'll probably kind of drift along here. Keep your eye on inflation. It's all about that right now. That's what it is.
I'm excited.
And stay positive. Absolutely.
No, I am. Who wants the market we had in March?
Absolutely.
It's a great opportunity.
100%. And you know what? I see stuff almost every single day. I saw 2 things. I probably should share 16%, 12%, with 2 points. Historically rates are still good. If you're going to be doom and gloom and negative, and you know what, it's I just had a conversation with Beth. There's, maybe there'll be 3 offers on a house instead of 30. There's probably some positives in there, right? So you want to sell your house to one person, right? Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Any questions?
Well,
Questions? Anyone?
So can I just piggyback on that for a second?
absolutely.
All
Very
right,
much, yeah.
I'll save you the war stories of being in the business for 40 years and what interest rates were, when I got in 18%.
Yep.
The question I would have for you though, for these guys is in that experience, we just didn't talk about interest rates as much because people get hung there. Instead, it's all about the monthly payment. You guys, I know this. But if they call you, instead of you guessing, and they just call you and say, Mark, man, can you run their credit and just give me the monthly that they can work within? And then you'll give them some ranges in that
100%.
and drive those conversations. Because quite frankly, unless they're Andy and super smart, they're not gonna really understand the payment, the consequence of interest rates and what they can afford to live in. And that is, again, just a shift in our conversations because it became bragging rights for a long time about how low their interest rate got, right? Oh, I got 2.65. What's on your underwear? I got 2.75, So, but now we've got to shift some of that mindset to be, this is where I can afford to be. And darn it, if I was renting, it would be a lot more regardless. So you're the man for that.
They should come pre-qualified, knowing what their payment is. By the time they come back to you, I mean, they should have a given, spreadsheet and hey, what's your payment? What are your down payment options? And 100%, absolutely. They should know what their payment is and where they're comfortable for sure.
Yeah.
It should be sending them back to you all and then sending them back to me. Hey, Mark, they don't know what their payment is going to be. They don't know where their comfort level is going to be. No, when they go back, they know what their payment is and where the comfort factor. Some people might still qualify for more. I mean, there's still people who qualify for more house and they just say, no, doesn't fit my budget. Don't want to be that high.
What their comfort is. Yep. Yep.
For sure.
We're changing the dialogue, change the conversations, change the outcomes. So, anyway.
Good.
All
right.
business for you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Great
All
stuff.
right.
All right, who's going? Hands up. People, are you serious?
I went last time. That's true. Oh, okay. All right.
All
Sorry.
right, other than Andy, who just went? Are you seriously dying? I'm telling you, you don't wanna go, you're lost, but I'm telling you that Aaron Kaufman is, 1, he's very entertaining. 2, he's amazing. 3, he will help you grow your business, help you grow your, as he says, grow your 401k, build your life by design. He's done amazing things and I just cannot, I tell you, I highly recommend go. I think right now we've got 11 people that are going. We're in the crowd.
In the crowd this Thursday.
Where is it located?
So Burnsville is putting it on,
Okay.
correct?
It's in Bloomington
Yeah.
at, I'm trying to think, it's at a church. The Holy
Yeah.
Church.
So if you need the Eventbrite link, it's on the calendar if you are looking to RSVP for it, and that has all the information in it as well.
How many of you have heard Aaron Kaufman?
Peter.
Okay, so a few, yeah, it's a good message.
All righty, we'll get started. Oh, I did want to really quick, everyone. We have a new agent with us today who is a transfer, our newest agent. This is Jim right here, Jim Lavale. Sorry to put you on blast. I know the claps too, but Jim joined us last week, I think officially. Yeah, so came from EXP and we're super excited to have him. So
Welcome.
everybody welcome him, make him feel at home.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Alrighty, and now we have Kit and Katie with us today. So you guys can come up here. I'll give you the floor, let you introduce yourselves and kind of go over whatever we're going.
Katie, you can introduce yourself first.
So I'm Katie Milbrandt. I am a coach with the Locker Room. It's a national coaching company. I've been in the Keller Williams world for 3 out of my 6 years in real estate, mostly in the leadership side. So I'm very familiar with Aaron Kaufman is great. I went to one of his and he was very entertaining. So if nothing else, it's only 2 hours every day. It works like 2 hours, 10 to 1.
10 to 1,
Yeah,
yeah.
highly recommend it, just for the experience in general. So yeah, that's me. That's it.
She's amazing. Give it up for Katie. Okay, and my name's Kit. Kit Fusil, kind of like Lucille, Fusil, a couple of seals, a few of them. And so I've been in business a long time. So I got my license in 1986 on my way to law school and decided to sell real estate in between. So that's a long time, like 36 years, I think. And what does it matter? There's nothing worse. You get somebody up there and they're like, oh, I've been back in the dinosaur age. This is how we did this. You know, we planted food, we poured things. I don't know what we did then, but here's the reason why that could matter is that I've had the blessing and opportunity to live through 4 shifts in the marketplace, which gives me some historical perspective, aka when you get old, we call it wisdom. One reason. Second reason is I've had the opportunity because of the role I play to serve. I coach brokers and leaders throughout the country. So I get to hear, and large teams, I get to hear a lot of stuff of what's happening all over the country, non-denominational, meaning I don't care what flag you fly. I have worked in under KW. I was hired as a consultant to start a brand new office and bring that to hit the home run hitter of the year for KW, which is a big deal. There's usually 800 brand new offices. We came in number 2. And we got beat out by $28 in profitability to New Jersey, and I was in South Carolina. Sales price is a little bit differently. Anyway, they gauged up on profitability. We lost by $28. So yes, talk about.
I know.
I mean, they literally had to tie me down, carry me out of the award ceremony because I was not happy. I would have given the $28 to win. So and I was hired as a consultant to do that. Which would you guys have? Do I have any of your coaches in the room?
Matt's online right here.
Oh, hi, Matt.
Hey, how we doing?
Matt Brown. Hi, Matt.
Hey, how we doing?
And so I served a similar on the leadership, well, multiple, but did some of what they do as productivity coaches. So anyway, that's kind of why I have some good nuggets to share with you. But today, before we get started, I'd love to, if you guys would each kind of go through the room. This helps gauge some of the conversation, is tell me, just give us your name. I'll never remember at the end of the day. Please don't quiz me. Maybe she's younger. She's got more brain power left than I do. But just how long you've been in the business will help me just a little bit on the conversation. So
Hey,
you're up.
I'm Nora Harry. I've been in business 3 years.
Nora, 3 years. Okay, you're in charge of how many years? So I can remember. 3 years. Andy,
I'm Andy, 6 years.
6 years. Okay.
I'm Linda. I've been with Keller Williams 3 years. I'm a DFI. I'm not an agent.
Perfect. Okay, that's it. Never minimize yourself with that role you play,
Thank you.
please, because what is the most important, one of the most important roles in our offices? The first impression that the rest of the world sees.
Yes.
And you get to hear all this stuff when people have bad days and you smile right through it and support them. So 363, okay. Perfect. Thank you for doing what you do. This is not always easy.
Peter,
Peter,
20 years.
20 years, Peter, you're barely a veteran. 20 years. Perfect.
Mike O'Donnell, 4.
4.
Grant Thompson, 7 months.
7 months.
Ooh.
All right,
I'll go Hannah Weinzerl, 9 months.
9 months.
Isaac, 5 years.
5 years. Isaac with the box of football. I own one too. They have a lot of energy.
I'm also Isaac, 4 months.
Isaac times 2. So if I pick on Isaac, he doesn't have the answer. It's half on your phone.
Isaac and Winesboro.
They're all on a team together.
Oh, fun. Brings that group up. Yes.
Jim, about a year and a half, less than 2 years.
Okay. Perfect, and welcome to the KW world.
Thank you.
You'll blow your brain, you'll have a little bit of fire hydrant like, whoa. But it will, if you plug in, and many of you will tell you, you plug in, great things happen.
John, 3 years.
All right, Don, 3 years. Wow, 3 years or
Sean, 2 years.
2 years.
Colin, 4 years. Shannon, 5 years.
Awesome. When'd you start? When you were 12?
So youthful.
Yeah. They say that to me when I tell people they're 4 years in the business. They're like,
I'm back.
Beth, 1 year.
I'm in mortgage at 30 years.
30 years old. We got another tired person in the room. So you too have been through a few of these, particularly the biggest one that we knew, which was back in 2006, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, okay,
Rena, also in mortgage, 17 years.
great. All right.
Canada, 20 years.
20, Canada, 20 years,
20.
20, nice. Again, another almost tired person.
Very good.
Yeah, I get it.
This one, oh, how many years this one is? Oh,
Less than 2.
Okay, so we have some spots, right? I mean, we have spots we can either push
Yeah, I can
people
move this
up.
chair up here too.
Yeah, oh yeah. Take a seat up here. You can join me.
You're good?
You're good back there? Okay. We just want to make sure that you're good to go. All right. So, I love this because I love having a broad spectrum of people who are brand new to the business and the energy that that brings. And I love the fact that we've got some mid-rangers in there that are like, that you figured some of this stuff out. And now it's like, okay, now I've been in 5 years. I mean, you're probably gonna stay for a while. Hopefully, stay for a while. And then it's always nice to have some veterans in the room, some people who've been around for a while. So because they can kind of share with you, it's okay, that things will be okay. We are going through some cyclical times, but things will be okay. So it's nice to have, so thank you for that. I would like to hear from a couple of you, just why did you get into the real estate business? What landed you here? 3 people.
My agent.
Your agent, so tell me, share with
He's
that.
actually my team lead too. He was our agent for the sale of our home, the purchase of our new one. My wife had worked with him in the past. I had had some bad experiences with agents in the past, so I was already on the line of like, all right, let's let this guy come in. We'll see what he's all about. He walked in the door and just rolled out the red carpet for us like he does for everyone. And then over the course of all of it, we just kept talking and he just asked me if I wanted to get into real estate. He knew I was kind of looking for a change. Then it took, set up my classes, but then it took me about a year to actually take them and just kept doing it and jumped on the team.
Awesome, awesome. So your agent inspired you, but there's something inside you. What motivated you?
I like to work with people and do for people. I was in the medical field for 15 years before this, and customer service and customer care is my biggest priority. I used to do programming for sites that I worked at to basically build their patient care workflow, and that has changed in the medical field a bit, and people very much have a number in front of their name instead of behind it now, and we kind of started pushing through like cattle, and it got to wear on people. So I was one of them and needed a change. So I can still do this, but do it at my own pace in my own way.
Okay, so if I can put words in your mouth without putting words in your mouth, am I hearing that you wanted to be a person of service and you also want some freedom?
Mhm.
With those two things will go okay? Okay, so can you write service and freedom on there just because it might remind me to Spears or something? Okay, I need 2 more. Thank you.
Helping people.
Helping people, you like to help people. So we got another helping person.
Kind of the same as.
That guy?
You kind of saw I saw the processes and I
Yeah.
saw people being taken advantage of. And heard stories and I thought, well, I can do that, help
people understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Help people understand. Thank you.
And maybe the money.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Shout it from the rooftop.
The
Yeah,
money!
Put the money on there. Show me the money. Because what do we do with the money? What do we do with the money? We spend it usually,
Fun.
we have fun. We give back. We reinvest. We keep the economy going. We do lots of great things with the money that we earn, and we work hard for it, despite what TV tells us, right? So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay, I need one more.
On variety.
Variety. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, we're not always sitting at a desk where I like having different hours. You have a certain amount of flexibility and even unequal income to me is a challenge, a fun challenge.
Awesome. Okay.
At job sites.
Appreciate that. So variety. I mean, people have certain needs in life, and a lot of realtors, I mean, some people are really driven by security. Some people are really driven by variety. So there's different things that we, as we're wired, have needs for. And it's great because you're not kidding when you get variety in this business, for sure. Okay, so thank you guys. So service, freedom, helping people, making money, variety, all those things. What, and I know we have to reminisce 20 some odd years ago for some of us, or almost 37 years for me. What did they not tell you when you got your license? What did they not tell you? You came in this with eyes wide, I'm gonna do these things, but what did they not tell you about the business? Or even today, what were you not told?
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, just writing everything down.
I can't think of everything I wasn't told.
Right.
I mean, I can't.
Yeah, so that nobody ever really told you really what the business was until you got into it.
Zero. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I just showed up here.
Yeah.
Thought I was gonna sell houses.
Yeah, you thought that phone was gonna ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's my phone not ringing?
It's less about the glamorous showing houses and it's more about the lead gen and the routine of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the nuts and bolts that they never told you. No, they told you how sexy it was that you get to go, HTV, oh, let me open the door for you. Not that I've ever watched it, so they maybe don't do that. But I remember as a top, so in many of my roles, talent acquisition was one of them. And if anyone walked in the door and they said, I love HTV, I'd be like, out. Because they don't equate. So I'm being a little facetious here. Do I have permission to be a little facetious? Okay, because if not, I will just leave now. So, okay, today we are gonna take a look at halftime. We're at halftime. We're literally at halftime in the year. And how many of you guys set goals for the year in the beginning of the year? You're with KW, I'm sure there's some kind of business plan. It started back in September. You've been knocked on the head a whole bunch of times and you came into 2022 with some goals. So we're gonna look at those goals. We're gonna break it down to a little bit of some mathematical science. I know I have some math people in here and I think somebody who's gonna need a calculator probably to help me. Then we're gonna look at, okay, where is my business? And we can take that off for now because that's gonna confuse the heck out of me. You're in charge of the computer, Katie.
Great.
And then we're gonna take a look at some math. So you'll have to do a little bit of math. And then we're gonna kind of forecast the rest of the year for you and help you with some plans, because is maybe what you were doing the beginning of the year going to be a little different, which might you have to do towards the end of the year. Yeah, so is this a good time to have that discussion? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so appreciate it. So you were handed, does everybody have a two-sided sheet to work off here? Okay, fantastic. I would really love it if I had your full attention versus Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and all the other things, because if I see that you're, I mean, unless you take notes on your phone, if you're spending more time there, I don't need to spend my time. It's just how I roll. And people who hire me a coach hire me because I'm not really sweet. They hire me because I'm gonna help them get stuff done and I'm really blunt. So you give me permission, that's what I'm asking for. Okay, here we go. Everybody have pen and paper. pen and paper, thank you, okay. All right, so let's go back and we're gonna look at what you started the year with your goals. So as you can see on here, on your worksheet, we're gonna have, what were your goals for your gross commission income? I'm gonna not get into net today, because that will get a little bit more complicated, which I'm happy to do on another day, but let's look at what you wanted to earn from a gross perspective this year. What were your goals here that you set out? Gross commission income. And I really, if you have what you had for volume, some people really want to have, like, they're like, oh, I want 10 million in volume or something. To me, as a coach, I really don't care. Because if I'm coaching in California, how many houses does it take to do 10 million?
One.
Right. Okay, you did one house, yeah, right.
It's not even fair.
It's not fair. Yes, and then when I go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, what's that average sale price?
180.
Right, like 150. So I'd rather look at building businesses based on units than certainly on volume. So if you could put your goal for what your income was, if you have a volume goal, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, as a coach, I prefer to talk about units. And then how many units did you want to sell? What's your goal? What's your goal? Okay. Next line is year to date. Where are you? So let's get a kind of a checkup for the neck up, as Zig Ziglar would say, and let's look at what is my current reality. So what is your current gross commission income? What have you currently brought home? What have you brought home? How many volume and how many units? If you don't know how many units you've sold year to date, raise your hand. Because if you don't, I think you can probably get that information for us. Somebody in here can get the information for us. Yeah. Yeah, so how many units have you sold? Okay, so focusing on the units, and then we're gonna look at, is everybody with me? The goal that you've had for the year and where you are year to date. I've got some blank stares, I've got some yeses, okay, all right. And thank you, Andy, okay. Now we're gonna look at what your current percentage, so focus on the units, next line down, percentage of units closed versus your yearly goal. So if your goal is 100 units and you've sold 50 and you divide, I think this is right, divide 50 by 100, I need my math people, you should have 50%. So what percentage are you? Your goal. What percentage? So can I hear just some, this is a group of family, this is a whole family here, there's no judgment here. So just a couple numbers on what percentage versus your total for the year, what percentages are you? Just a couple, 2 or 3. Yes.
42%.
Perfect. Thank you. 42% of goal. 42%.
43.
43%. Wow. Round up, round up. Okay, fantastic. So based on that, so we're kind of midway through the year. You want you to circle one. Are you outperforming? Are you on pace? Or do you feel you're underperforming? So go ahead. This is just for you guys. Circle on one of those. Where are you? Where do you believe you are? Okay. And some of this might have some ahas for you as we go through the numbers here. Please write down the breakdown, and this will become important as we move along. Homes closed in Q1. So we're 9 days off from the end of Q2. We all agree on that? We're at 9 days off. Yeah. So how many did you close January, February, March? How many did you close April, May, and you might have to add what you're going to close, the rest of this month, end of June in there. So you'll have a total number. You'll have Q1, Q2. Why does that matter? Why does knowing what you closed per quarter matter? Yeah, absolutely. So he said, kind of, so you start to track, when are you busiest and where you went part of the year are you apt to hit your goals? Absolutely. Because I know this is a bold, I don't know if it's a bold law, but I know Diana wrote it in one of her books, but clarity is power. Okay? Actually, it was, I mean, Diana wrote that in one of her books, but I just read who the original author was. It was Albert Einstein, actually, that actually came up with the phrase, clarity is power. Clarity gives us choices, clarity gives us options. Okay, so do numbers. Okay, so now, down below that, we're gonna just play with some numbers a little bit. And we're gonna do what's called the 65-35 rule. Has anybody heard of the 65-35 rule? Yeah, in real estate? Okay, so many, for those that haven't, many, particularly in northern states. So in my southern states, we have to play with the numbers a little bit. My northern states, typically 65% of the business. Now you heard me say typically with a little asterisk on it. Sometimes businesses are different, but typically if I'm coaching a brokerage firm and I look at their numbers in the last 3 years coming forward, typically 65% of the units are sold in Q2 and Q3. Okay. And for most of the agents I coach here in Minnesota, again, most of my northern states, even the individual agents and teams I coach here in the state, they fall under this. Now, there's some outliers, of course, but for a general rule.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then 35% for Q1 and Q4. Okay, so now we're gonna put some math to it. We're gonna take your yearly goal. Can somebody give me a yearly goal, just so we can all play along with a number?
And unit goal
Yeah,
transaction.
here, just transactions for the year.
150.
You want to do 150 units?
Yeah.
Okay, 150 units times 65%. Can you help me with the math? And you've already got them done. I can tell you, he's already cheated and he's on the next page. So for your Q2 and Q3 for our 150 units.
97.5.
97.5. So Andy needs to sell 97.5 to round it up, right? So 98 units, Q2 and Q3.
Yep.
So we're gonna divide those in half. So Q2, 97 divided by 2, or 97.5, 98 divided by 2. 98 divided by 2.
49, right?
49,
Yeah.
is that what we got?
Yes.
Well, math people.
49.
Okay, so 49 units is what, so we're gonna break this down here, okay? So if you look down below, we're gonna look at what units numbers do we need to sell. So for him, Q2, Q3, he's got 90, how many did we say total? 98
Yes.
divided in 2. So for Q2, it was 49
49.
and Q3 49. Okay, so let's stay with his numbers. 35% based for 150 divided by times 35%.
52.5, so 53.
So 53 units divided by 2, because we're gonna do the quarters, right? So for Q1, he needs
27.
27 here. Let's write those on, if you can write that on the board, just so everyone can follow the math on here. Okay. So we're gonna take 150 units. Yep.
So it's 35%.
Yep. And the number, yeah.
Q2 is 5%.
Yep. So 150 units.
Yes. Is the total.
Yep. Okay. So
And then we
let's,
said 90. 150.
Andy, what you got for numbers? He's already.
Oh.
Q1.
So 50, yeah.
So let's do Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So we know exactly what he's got to sell.
Was it 27, 49, 49, and 27, something like that?
Yep. So 27, 27, 49, 49. Andy, why do you want to know those numbers?
Well, I want to hit my goals. It's important to me.
Okay.
I'm running a business.
Can you turn around and say that a little louder?
Louder?
Yes.
How loud?
Turn on all your peers here and tell them what you're running.
A business.
He's running a business. He's running a business. And I can, over having done this for as long as I have, if I sit down with most agents and say, okay, what's your Q1 and Q4 goals? What's your Q2? They have no idea. Nobody ever told them. Again, it's one of those things that, what did they not tell you? So knowing these numbers does a couple of things when I'm coaching people. It takes people out of overwhelm. Because let's say, not that you were, but let's say he was behind on Q1 and Q2, because does that happen? Yeah, of course it does. So then we have to look at if this goal is, now if Andy was a client of mine, I would interrogate him to the point that he's almost crying about how important that goal is. Because if somebody isn't really willing to get down dirty and cry with me about it, it ain't that important. And again, I have the only reason I'm saying these things is I've had the blessing and opportunity of a heck of a lot more than 10,000 hours of coaching. And lots of little letters behind my name that I don't do because nobody knows what they are anyway. So finding out how important that is, because are there times that we might think, well, I'm behind, so I'm just going to adjust my goal. Does that happen? Sure. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it just takes someone helping you rethink that maybe it's still really doable, but let's get to the granular piece of it to see how do we do that. Sometimes you're exceeding these goals and maybe that'll take a little pressure off of the side of it. You're like, great, since I've exceeded here, maybe I don't have to quite work as hard in Q4 and I can go on that 2-week cruise somewhere. But these guys are things that we gauge our life by design on. And if we don't know those, it's really hard to be on a path to know exactly what it is that you want to, where you want to go. Okay, so on your sheet, you should each have your 35. So I just want to hear some numbers for other people. We've got Andy's here. What do you need for Q1 and Q4? Those are the same number. And what do you need for Q2 and Q3? Again, the same. Oh, so I'm sorry. You're going to need that for total number of needed, where it says needed. And then we're going to look at what your actual is versus your needed. So year to date, what'd you close Q1? Andy, do you know that number?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your Q1 number? If you don't
You
mind.
want to count the escrows? Or just the actual
Closed Q1.
Oh, closed Q1.
Yep, if you don't mind sharing.
You know, Nora, I can see it on my phone.
19,
Yeah.
okay, so he closed 19 units for Q1. So now we know he needed 27 units for Q1. If we're gonna make these all work, now he's got some information for next year. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all information. That's what, what it is. Okay. So now how about you guys? Give me some numbers for Q1 and Q4 that you need for closings. Just how many closings do you need for Q1, Q4?
Sure.
Please.
So Q1, I closed 5.
Perfect.
Q4, I'll need 11.
You'll need 11. Okay. All right. So now you've got a roadmap. You might have already known this, but you've got a roadmap for what we need to do. How do we take this information to the next level? Does anyone know? What do we do to go ahead?
You can back it out to contacts, appointments, calls.
You got it.
You can just keep backing it out.
Yes. You guys are so lucky you're in an environment that has these conversations. You guys have no idea. I mean, I have the opportunity of coaching every brokerage flag there is out there. And the kinds of conversations that have in these rooms, you guys sometimes take for granted. I know I did when I was immersed in it. I kind of took some of that for granted, and we've had these conversations. And you guys are steeped in it. So please honor that. And that's, again, those conversations don't happen outsourced. So you've got great leadership that helps you with those. Okay, so now we've got some clarity on our map. These are great things to put up there to have other people help hold you accountable, is what your goals are supposed to be, and breaking it down per quarter. It also is great conversations because these happen to fall into the summer months of Minnesota. And if you have to have conversations with your family, let them help you. Because I don't know about any of you guys, but if I tell my kids that I'm going to do something with them, the last thing in the world I want to ever do is break their little hearts. And now I'm the grandma of experiences, so I really have to make sure that I can own up at that. And I too have numbers for coaching clients. So Matt, this is okay. Are we all good here? Did anybody have just an aha with that first page? Your numbers for your quarters.
It's good. It's very helpful.
Okay, so I'd love to hear just one or two. I saw some nods. What'd you learn there?
What'd you say, Grant?
I'm closer than I think that I am. Because I'm looking at it, I'm just like, well, this is where I'm at this point in time, but it makes sense for what I
Yeah. That in itself, thank you, Grant, for saying that. I'm closer than I thought I was. And if you're chasing on something, then that probably felt pretty good. And sometimes, again, as I mentioned, we put this stress on, like, oh my God, I gotta stay on this treadmill. But if you're close enough there, here's something about energy. I have a master's in energy, by the way. One of the many little letters behind my name. We all have there's only so much water that can go into this without it filling over. The same with energy. We all, and some of us have more of it than others. I happen to have God give me a lot of it, physical energy and stamina. He just is like, oh, I guess she's in that line. Math, we'll put her in that line. She doesn't get any, can't do Excel spreadsheets, but I can get in this line and have energy. We only have so much of that. If we spend our energy in worry, fear, or doubt, what they call level 1 energy, it sucks the other energy we have to be energetic and playful and all of that, because we only have so much. So if we're sitting here worrying about what we're going to do for the rest of the year, and that took half of that energy out of this bottle, then I only have the rest half of that energy to be able to use to service my clients, to be the best I could be there, to make the money, to live the variety, and to choose that life by design. If you sucked it all up because you were worrying, it's a problem. So knowing that, he probably gave you a little levity, like, oh, sweet, I don't have to worry about that because I am on track. And if you're off track, then it kind of tells you I'm off track by this X amount, but let's see what numbers it would take to make up that. If that 150 was so important to you. Now, there may be a point that 150, I'm not saying it is, I'm just using for example, isn't that important? It's just a number. I have a team, you guys, that I coach, and I don't know, every year, we're gonna do 300 units. Why 300? Why 300? Right? So let's get, is it just the 300's the number, or what really is it? And usually we find out if that's just a number because somebody else did 300. Okay, let's get to the root of it, because every one of these is a family. It takes time, energy, and a family. And we have to decide if this is the most important, is the money. What is the most important? Okay. So now we're going to flip to page 2. And what time, how long do I have? Because
Our meeting's over in like 5 minutes.
in 5 minutes, great. Since you guys have to be late, I get to stay a little longer. I'm kidding. Okay, so let's go to on the second page, time on the clock. As of today, we did the math for you. There's 193 days left in the year. There's 132 working days left in the year if you use a Monday through Friday. Yes, I know you guys work Saturdays and Sundays. I see the giggle, the smile already, right? But part of our jobs as coaches is also to help you kind of put some parameters around the time that you spend versus doing, filling your own well, putting water back into your bottle. Okay, so we're dumbing it down here, which is 1,056 hours, assuming that 132 working days at 8 hours a day. I assumed you were going to take 2 days off a week, so I put Saturdays and Sundays here. You may say I take Mondays and Wednesdays. I don't care. I just, for the exercise, took 2 days of the week. And there's 7 federal holidays. If I have Italians in here, yes, I did include Columbus Day. Okay, I'll give it to you. I think schools are closed, so might as well. Okay, so there we go. That's what we have left in the year from today to the end of the year. So now we're going to get a little tricky. Katie, I'm going to need you to pull up that spreadsheet again. And I'm going to pick on bold for a second here. Okay, how many of you have taken bold? Taken like, I don't know how many times. This is just to be honest, okay? You're asked in bold to do 20 contacts a day. Is that still the case?
Yes.
Okay, and I know 2-3 years ago, they redefined contacts. Before it used to, when I took it, the first, it was only telephone conversation. I think they've gotten into the 21st century and said, as long as it's a 2-way conversation. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. How many of you, I'll just be honest with me, from taking it, the number of times I took it, I rarely could actually hit 20 contacts a day with all the other stuff that's in my life. It's tough.
Mhm.
If I stripped everything else out of my day, including my family, my friends, my voice, my other things, I could hit my 20 contacts. Did I do that from time to time? Of course I did. I'll tell you when I did it. It wasn't because of gold. But I found that was really hard. And so here's what I learned after teaching and working with gold. Again, great program, great program. I just know after observation as a professional coach, I'd get people out of after week 2 or 3 that didn't make their 20 contacts a day. And what happened? Those of you taking it, they didn't make your contacts. What
You
happened?
follow.
You fall out because you don't want to let your team down. I don't want my people down. I suck. I didn't do it. Oh, sorry. I know you not necessarily. I'm a terrible person. I didn't do this. The guilt, the thrill, the worry, the doubt. I'm no good. Should I even do this business or screw gold? It sucks. I've heard it all. Okay, it's a great program. Here's what I think that there's just a little alteration that at the locker room, we have great programs. We just altered a little based on your goal. Okay, and I know when you're teaching thousands and thousands, you got to do it across the suite. And the goal is trying to do is create the habit. That's what it's trying to design is. So what we do is we say, okay, if Andy's going to make 150 units for the year, let's figure out exactly what your numbers are, and let's interrogate that. Okay, and we start with some smaller habits. And I'm sure, if you make 5 contacts, if you could make 5 contacts a day, 5 days a week, I will do some math on that. Wow, and is that more doable? What's the key to the success? Where it's 20 or 5, what's the key? Consistency. The hardest part of it is the consistency. Okay, so you've got some math up there for us to do. So let's say we're starting today. We know we've got some goals, some things that we need to do at the end of the year. So I need a number. I don't care who, somebody. Give me a number of how many units you need to do between now and the end of the year to make your goal. 8? Okay. So we'll use 8. Well, hang on, we might not use 8 because we'll get some little higher numbers just for a second. But that's great though. Good for you. Who else has got a number for me?
35.
35. Okay. So now what we want to do is figure out exactly how many contacts a day that you need to make starting now, working 5 days a week with the 27 Saturdays, the 27 Sundays, or whatever your day is off, and giving you some of that freedom, building in some freedom in there. How many contacts do you need to make to hit 35 deals? That's what we're going to play with. This spreadsheet, Jordan has this spreadsheet. So I will give her permission to send the spreadsheet out, provide she lets Katie know who is the spreadsheet, only because it might be some confusion, and we want to make sure we give you clear instructions, okay? He'll pay us a lot of money for the spreadsheet, but we love you so much, we're gonna give it to you today for free. So if I'm gonna use the 20 contacts a day, and let's hope this Excel spreadsheet works because we had to do some modifications, and we did 5 days a week, that's, somebody tell me how many contacts per week, right? Okay, and I just put in there, this figure doesn't matter, but we're 58 days, 50 weeks per year, the 132 matters because that's how many days we have left. Okay, so this is between now, it says year, but what we're using is between now and the end of the year. Okay, you following me? Between now and the end of the year, 132 days is going to be 2,640 contacts. If I use a 2% ratio, which is 50 contacts per closing, per piece of business, that's 2%. That's going to yield 53 units. Great news. It's Isaac, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Isaac doesn't need to make 20 contacts a day, 5 days a week. So let's see what he needs to make. I don't know how to make it reverse engineer, but let's put in there like 15 contacts per day. Let's see what that does. If we can. Okay, that got him to 40. Let's go to 13. Close enough for government work. Okay, because I don't know how to do a half. Do 14.
Oh my.
Oh, I'm so sorry. There we go. 37. Okay, we're just gonna err on 37.
I can do that.
You can do that. Okay, so based on this, we got 5 contacts. 14 contacts a day between now and the end of the year. If he wants to hit 37 units and 2 fall out of bed, you need 35. Between now and the end of the year, it tells us how many contacts, what his conversion rate is, how many units. I put 350 as the average sale price. Are you guys okay with that? Okay, because we can change it. And I put 2.7 as the average commission. All right. Going to the other side, so that's 9,450. Hopefully it worked. Gross commission 349. Broker fees, this is what your cap is here, 13 plus 3, right? 16. You're following me here. Okay. Coaching. And I just put 10,000 expenses. Again, I don't know. This will be for you and your business to play with. So I just put in there, it could be 50,000. It all depends. Okay. And I know this depends if you're on a team, what your cap is. So that's why there's a few variables in here. If you have a transaction coordinator, that's a cost of sale. We also, the spreadsheet she has that figured in there. Okay. Just play with us here. So that would, his take home would be $217,890. Again, this is in generals. What's that?
I was gonna say that'd be a lot of work for $2,000.
Yeah, sure would. Okay, so now Isaac leaves here today and he goes and says, Todd, hey, get out of my way because I need to make 14 contacts every single day and you're taking time that's making one of them. So see you later because I need to make these contacts to make that kind of income. Does that give you clarity?
Definitely.
Is that something that you could do?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we're gonna play with the conversion rate. I used a 2% conversion rate. I'm sure Isaac probably has a really good scripts and dialogues because you guys probably practice scripts and dialogues here. And he probably knows how to have a greater conversation. When I was selling real estate full-time, which I've done multiple times in my life, because I believe if you're gonna coach, you need to have gotten in the dirt. And you need to have gotten bitten. People sometimes like that, fight, but you know, you need to roll around the dirt. That's why we call it the locker room, getting your jersey dirty. My conversion rate was about 5% conversion rate, so average conversion rate. I knew that if I talked to 24 people, I would have a closing, period. Those were my numbers. How would I know my numbers? I tracked them. Not because I wanted to, because I'm a rebel, but because I was told to by a coach, and for you've been around for a while, you might remember who Mike Ferry is. I hired Mike Ferry in 1986. I was scared to death with him. And the first question he'd ask me was, let's go through your numbers in 30 seconds. If I didn't have them, he'd slam the phone down. Well, that was a good coaching call. Okay, that's just, so then I was like, well, I pay a lot of money. I'd like to get the second 30 seconds. So I learned to come a little bit more prepared, but he taught me a very valuable lesson. The lesson was, if you don't know what those numbers are, how the heck are you gonna know where you're going? And that's a business conversation. You wanna go play hobby in real estate, fine, you play hobby in real estate, but if you're gonna pick up my phone and you're gonna call me and you wanna make a lot of money because you wanna do great things with that money, what the opportunity will provide you, we gotta be clear on something. A few ground rules, numbers being one of them. Okay. So if I knew it was 24 and I had 5% conversion ratio, look what the annual take home change would have changed there. Now, so let's say time is a commodity, which it is for me. And the 200 and whatever that number was what I was comfortable with. I can go back now and change my contacts per day. Change that to 5. Just curious what happens with the numbers. So glad you found it on the web. Okay, so if I made 5 contacts a day, I'm almost at 200,000. Take me to 10, just 10 contacts a day. Okay, so I still don't even need to do that. But my point is, we can play with these numbers. If you put 8 in there, maybe I'm close. I'm not sure. Because it all compounds. But yeah, okay. So now instead of 14 contacts a day, for me to hit my 37 units with a 5% conversion, now I only need to make between 6 and 8 contacts. Is there a time difference between 6 and 8 contacts and 14?
Yes.
You bet there is, particularly if I'm running this kind of business. I mean, very, very intentional about my conversations. Okay. Something else I don't personally teach is that you pick up the phone and say, who do you know that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Okay, that's not my style. My style is more so what you guys are now learning in bold with Ford style. My style is more because of technology. I saw some stuff on Facebook, just thought I'd reach out and touch you, blah, 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 blah. I often get asked the phone dance. The phone dance is this. I haven't talked for those who've been in business for 20, even 6, 5, 4 or 5 years, they say, I haven't spoken to that client in 5 years. Does that happen? Absolutely it happens, because again, what were we not told when we got our license? How to run a business, right? Okay, so I'm going quick because I know I'm over time. Thank you.
I don't want to interrupt, thank you.
So where was I? Okay, contacts between the end of the year. So we've got kind of here, now you've got some math on here. Phone dance, thank you, thank you. So the phone dance is, I haven't talked to that person in a long time, so I'm a little hesitant about picking up the phone, so therefore I haven't, that's what, bless you, that's why 4 years went by. Okay, the conversation there is super easy. I was driving down 36 or 35, and from time to time I think about you, and this time I'm not gonna let it go. I'd love to catch up with you. You got a few minutes. And if it's not today, when might I just call and just let's catch up? Do people love that phone call? That's powerful. Very powerful. And it's so true, because if it happens to us and we're in the business of people, of course it happens to those people who are not in the business of people. So there's an easy conversation for you. Okay, so now we're on, what are we gonna do about it? You're gonna have this spreadsheet. It's gonna give you, if you don't know your contacts, but you're gonna need to know how many contacts gets you one new piece of business. And if you don't there, we've got this sheet for you. So now we need to divide that out by the number of the year. It's gonna give you contacts per business ratio. Okay, and then you can do the math on here. I know I'm way over time, but we're gonna give you the spreadsheet that you'll be able to do this with. So the question becomes, if in fact Isaac needed to just make 6 contacts a day between now and the end of the year, do I think you can do that? Do you think you can do that? I know you can do it. You think, yeah. So now he's got a really clear roadmap. And that's where you can come up with your gaps. So maybe Andy's got a gap in here. I don't know, but maybe he's got a gap in here. Now he can say, wow, that 150 isn't so far. Even though I was shy here, I can make it up here by those contacts. Because contacts, you guys, the contacts are bad. It's bad. It doesn't lie. Unless you're really, 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 really bad at conversion, which you guys have scripts and dialogues conversations about. The next question I already had asked earlier was, how much is that goal? How much is your goal worth to your family? So just curious, Isaac, if you brought home $235,000 between now and the end of the year because you made 6 contacts a day, you only work 5 days a week, I guess there's an asterisk there. What would you do with that money?
By experiences.
I kind of got it. By experience. So play with me for a second. What's the first experience you buy?
First class ticket to Queens.
Queens.
Really
Queens,
fast,
i.e. New
right
York?
there We got the tickets for.
I
Rock the
missed-
bells, LL Cool J, baby.
Ah, okay, good
I
talk
got
about,
the tickets. I don't have the tickets. I got the ticket to get in the show. I don't have the tickets to get.
okay. So guess what we'd spend some time talking about? How important is that show to you? What kind of experience it is? And I'd have him, if he were a client, I might have him buy those tickets today, because I'm gonna bank on him right there. All day long on the bank on him. I can't wait to see pictures. Okay, so how important is it? If it's not that important, he said, I don't know, I have no clue what I would do it. None of this is important to me. As a matter of fact, I wasted my half an hour of time. Then that wouldn't matter to him.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Andy. So the point is let's get really clear about what it is that you want. So I won't go into it here. And then if it were, like, again, we put on there, if it was $1 million listing appointment, would you miss it? Probably not. Because that just took, you needed, instead of 35 units, maybe you only needed 27 units, right? It was $1 million. So the question is, why do you miss those? I mean, you get asked this every day by your viewers. Why do you get asked to miss your prospecting appointments? If we already figured out, I only need to make 6 contacts. Why do you miss it? I'll tell you why you miss it. Same reason everybody else does. Because somebody calls you and a buyer says, I can only see a house between this time and this time. Because you have to drop the kids off at school because somebody got sick, because this, and this. It happens. So we have to understand there's going to be some flexibility. However, do not go to bed at night until you've done your 6 contacts. So I'll give you the latitude to say stuff came up, but I'm not going to give you the latitude to let you off the hook. because you told me that meant more to you. And that's the beauty of an environment like this, is you guys can share those things. And because of how you operate in this kind of environment, they want you to have the stuff. Right? That's what this whole system was built for. But life by design is what this system was built for. So jump into it full throttle, or open it up full throttle. You can't jump into it, but you can. With us on Friday night, you can jump into full throttle. So the question is, what is it that you're actually going to do? And real estate, you can see at the bottom, is a context board. We really want you to get your sister. Play all out. So I went over time. I'm sorry. Was this time valuable to you?
Yes.
Thank you. And I want to hear some ahas.
I just
Please.
want to say thank you. I do some teaching, and I tell people, I don't actively sell anymore. I work in the the mortgage side, but I spent most of my career chasing deals and made a lot of money, and you can do that. But I worked very hard and never treated it like a business, and that's really how you can control it more by treating it like a business. This was super awesome.
Thank you. You're entirely welcome. We are honored to be here. What else did you take away from here?
The breakdown makes it not seem so daunting.
Breakdown. White size.
Especially as a newer agent.
Yes.
As I know there is like 3 of us in the room.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard.
Right?
6 contacts a day.
Yeah. Yeah, with
This
a
is just-
conversion rate of 5%.
And that's just now to the end of the year.
Yeah, now the end of the year. So at the locker room, we talk a lot about 5 contacts a day. You'll hear us 5 to 25 challenges. We have all sorts of stuff with 5. Because what we have found is even the busiest of the agents can figure out how to get 5 contacts a day. The person who has no skill developed and they're scared to death to pick up the phone can still make 5 contacts a day. The Band-Aid is hard to rip off with the day of technology to make 5 conversations happen on a daily basis. And we've got to start somewhere. The biggest thing that we need to do is create the habit of consistency. If you nail that and you nail your calendar, you can nail this business. So I needed one more aha, and then we will let you out of the room. Ooh, that sucked me in. Stuck in, Judy. Oh my God, I don't have anything else to add to you, lady.
I know it's not not as much of an aha as it is a reintroduction of that question. What if you introduced or treated everything you allowed on your calendar as if it were $1 million listing appointment? And that's the difference between procrastination and priority. If it's important enough to you, you're gonna be there 5 minutes early.
Yes.
Right? But if it's not, you're just not even gonna recognize it for what it is. So it's, and I know this.
Yes.
Right? That's the problem. No.
That's the problem. We all intellectually know this, and success is won by the sleight of the edges, right?
Exactly.
So, all right, Katie, is there anything else that you wanted to add to the conversation that we had covered today?
That was great.
Okay, well, we want to thank you guys for allowing us to come in here and share some information with you. Hopefully get you some clarity between now and the end of the year so you can rock it. Don't hesitate to friend us on the Book of Face. And I love seeing the successes that people have from the conversations that we get to have. So we are honored. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
All right, we are gonna roll into investing. So if you guys wanna take 2 minutes.